everyone, welcome to Legally Invested. Today I have a super special guest. Matt Fortnow is here. Not only is he a Cardozo alum, which is my alma mater in law, he is the author of the NFT Handbook, How to Create and Sell and Buy Non-Fungible Tokens, that he co-wrote with Q Harrison Terry, who's a growth marketer at Mark Cuban Companies. So I'm going to embarrass you, Matt, now by reading your super impressive bio.
Okay.
Matt has been in the tech startup trenches as someone who has founded, built, managed, and sold a successful internet company. In 1996, he co-founded Commissioner.com, which is the internet's first fantasy sports service. Matt grew the company, which created the fantasy sports games for the NFL, Major League Baseball, CBS Sportsline, and several others, as well as international games for soccer and cricket. In 1999, he and his partners sold the company to CBS Sportsline, now CBS Sports, which still runs their products today. And previously, as an entertainment lawyer, Matt co-authored the 7th edition of This Business of Music, which is the Bible of the music industry. He's represented a variety of musical artists, songwriters, producers, and record companies, appeared as a regular featured copyright expert on television, and lectured internationally. An honors graduate of Carnegie Mellon and cum laude graduate of Cardozo's School of Law, which is not easy. And he also edited and wrote for Law Review at Cardozo. He's been the author of several articles on legal issues in the music industry. Since the sale of Commissioner.com, Matt has been consulting entrepreneurs and involved in various startups as an investor and advisor. 6 years ago, he dove into the world of blockchain, doing business development for game credits, which is also referred to as game. And in 2018, he arranged a deal between Game Credits and FanDuel, the largest fantasy sports company, for contests throughout the FIFA World Cup. Matt is the co-founder of Blockchain Guys, a premier blockchain and cryptocurrency consultancy. He's become increasingly enamored by digital art and non-fungible tokens since the original Cryptokitties, and has created the official NFTs for iconic brands such as the Three Stooges. Matt appeared on Marketing for the Now with Gary Vaynerchuk, who all of you know is such a guru in this space. And Matt, I am so excited to speak with you today, all things NFTs and all the things that you're working on. So thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
So to get started, this audience is really a mix of NFT people who are really involved, collectors, investors, artists, and also professionals and lawyers and businesses who have no idea what an NFT is. So I think it's worth us just briefly discussing, if you wouldn't mind, could you define for us what an NFT is in the most basic sense?
Okay, in the most basic sense, an NFT is a type of digital collectible. And what makes an NFT special is that it's on the blockchain. Now, that begs the question, well, what's the blockchain? Blockchain is the same technology that cryptocurrencies use. So using blockchain technology for NFTs, we can verify who created the NFT and who all the owners of the NFT were. That's all right there in the open on the blockchain. So anyone can see the provenance, the list of owners, and the creator of the NFT. So you can easily verify whether a certain artist or other creator created a particular NFT.
So thank you for that. We're hearing NFTs, Metaverse, and I know that the two are different, but can you explain also what is the Metaverse and how it's different from NFTs, but also why they're linked?
Okay, when people talk about the Metaverse really does not exist yet. So people are really using the term loosely. The Metaverse is one unified virtual environment that anybody can join. So we have several different virtual environments. Like we have Axie Infinity, and we have Decentraland and the Sandbox, and other virtual environments. We refer to each of them as a particular metaverse, but in reality, the metaverse will be when all these virtual environments are combined into one.
Which may not be for a while.
Probably not.
Okay. And how do NFTs relate to the metaverse?
Well, NFTs, for example, like if you have a MeBit NFT, it's a three-dimensional character that you can use as your avatar in some of the virtual environments. Also, digital land, for example, on Decentraland, can be sold, is sold and traded as NFTs as well.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So I love in your bio, like Cryptokitties was the thing that sparked it, because in your book you talk about how like the internet has this fascination with cats.
Right.
So of course, like it would be cat artwork that would kind of start this boom. So when you found Cryptokitties and you started getting into NFTs, was it first purely entertainment and looking at it like as a collectible?
Now, at first it was really curiosity. I mean, I just like to add, in addition to the kitty artwork, I mean, the Cryptokitties had the breeding functionality, which was new at the time, to integrate the artwork and the breeding to create new artwork, new kitties that you could breed. So it was really more of a fascination. I mean, at the time I was still heavily focused on crypto and blockchain, and NFTs was just more of just a side fascination for me at that time.
So then at what point did you realize, wow, NFT, the technology behind it, the concept of being able to tokenize things and also have people invest and give back with royalties and so on. I'm just naming a couple of the really cool things about NFTs. At what point did that make you realize there's something bigger here going on?
Well, when OpenSea started getting popular, I guess earlier this year, last year actually, I just started following different artists on OpenSea and Foundation, and I had a feeling, wow, this is really going to blow up. I think mainly a lot of it was driven by COVID and a lot of people staying home and just tooling around the internet and finding what's cool, and people found that, wow, these NFTs are really cool. But what really got me thinking that this could explode is when Rob Gronkowski released his trading card NFTs very early this year, and I was just fascinated by the combination of the great design combined with his star power and the people that he brought on to the project, and his one of one, the sale of his one-of-one NFT, I think at the time was $400-something thousand, which compared to the NFT sales we see today wasn't that much. But I think that really sparked a whole run of NFT projects shooting for the moon.
Yes, seeing the bigger names come in probably was like, wow, okay, this is something big, and we're still seeing that. I think the videos that I post, I know that there's a lot of skepticism still, but how do you feel about the bigger brands? Do you think that we're going to see more and more companies utilize NFTs, or do you think it's just going to be kind of one-offs?
No, I do see brands utilizing NFTs more. Now, as far as the skepticism goes, I understand every time there's a new technology and combine that with high valuations and a lot of trading going on, people get concerned. There's probably a lot of scams going on. But I just want to say, not necessarily does new technology and high valuations equal a scam. We had the whole FUD phase with Bitcoin and blockchain, back in the early days, and we still have some FUD about that as well. But I remember also the internet. There was a lot of fear associated with the net. Oh, don't enter your credit card online. I mean, people will just get we'll get past that stage. There was even that film, The Net, with Sandra Bullock, the whole, fear of the internet type of film. So NFTs will get past that stage as well. But there are a lot of brands getting involved. Brands buying Bored Apes, trying to show that that they're in, they're part of the in crowd. But I think brands, not just using NFTs for promotional purposes, will start integrating some of the technology that the NFTs offer.
Definitely. I agree with you. So with all of the, let's just talk about digital art for now, because that's really a main use of NFTs that we're seeing. I'm sure you're, as an IP lawyer too, and an entertainment lawyer, you're seeing work that are derivatives, or either feature people's images and feature people's brands. Right now, it really has been the Wild West for a little bit, but what do you think in terms of the law and enforcement? Are we going to be seeing more and more enforcement with digital art and NFTs?
Yeah, I talk about this in depth in the NFT Handbook, chapter 9, the legal aspects of NFTs. But there are several issues that are involved. First is whether NFTs are securities. We had a whole run of ICOs back in 2017, and a lot of them did turn out to be kind of scammy, and the SEC stepped in because a lot of people complained and pretty much shut down all the ICOs. Now, particular like collectible or art NFTs, I don't feel are an issue when it comes to securities, but when you start fractionalizing assets and income streams and intellectual property, that could land more potentially on the side of it being an investment. And the SEC hasn't provided any guidance yet. And if some of these offerings or NFT issue drops turn out to be kind of scammy, then that's going to definitely bring the SEC down on it pretty hard, I believe.
Yeah, and that's only one topic in chapter 9 in the legal chapter of your book. You really break down the most important, what you predict are the most important legal topics.
Well, yes, I mean, copyrights are certainly going to be an issue. Just because you find you make an NFT of an image you find on the internet, I mean, that image has a copyright, so you can't just use any image and sell that. Additionally, people have rights of publicity, particularly celebrities. You can't just use the celebrity image. I mean, we see tons of NFTs with celebrity images out there, and that's a violation of those publicity rights. I mean, people have the right to use their name and likeness, and if you don't license that, it would be in violation of their publicity rights. However, it's not black and white. If it's an artistic work, I mean, there's the transformative use test, which I talk about in the book, which has the likeness been transformed more into an artistic work rather than just the likeness of that particular person. So it's a gray area. It's not black and white, but generally, I mean, I would suggest not using the likeness of a particular person without their consent.
It's such a hard concept to tell creatives, because I do a lot of Twitter spaces. I'm on there every Tuesday, and we get artists that come in and ask all these questions. Like, I literally got asked, can I take a pack of Pokemon cards and turn them into NFTs? And the answer is so obvious to people who are lawyers, who understand copyright laws, but there's also people who are just not as sophisticated when it comes to the law and copyrights. So it's why it's so important that you put this book together, not only to show people how to buy and sell, but really to anticipate some of the potential legal issues that are coming up. Because as people just think throwing up their artwork or throwing up their fan artwork is fair use, it arguably could start a legal battle. Like you said, fair use is such a gray concept, and courts are constantly overruling each other, and interpreting fair use differently. So if anyone's watching this and you are a creator, I definitely suggest you really read that chapter and reread that chapter. But this handbook, Matt, has been an incredible snapshot of everything. And so I do want to ask you, what was the impetus to write this? Like, what made you and Hugh Harrison just say, okay, we got to get it out?
Okay, before I answer that, I just want to add one thing. If you're buying an NFT, you're not usually buying the copyrights to the underlying art in that NFT unless it's expressly stated. So just because you bought an NFT doesn't mean you have the rights to make t-shirts with the image in that NFT unless it's expressly stated. Sure.
Okay. Continue. I just don't want you to skip and go on to my other question I asked, because I think this is really important.
Okay, sure. Just be careful when you buy an NFT that you're not necessarily buying the copyrights to that NFT. So you have this particular NFT, but the original artist still owns the copyrights to that work, unless it's expressly stated when you're buying the NFT. So getting back to your other question, yeah. So one of the companies I'm involved in is called 3Data. They're a VR AR company. They do virtual data, three-dimensional data visualization, and they have virtual network operation centers. So Mark Cuban is one of the investors in this company, and my co-author Hugh Harrison, Terry, he is the head of marketing for Mark Cuban's companies. So I met him through this VR AR company, and we just started talking. This was earlier this year, probably around February or March or so. And we just found out we both had a fascination about NFTs. And we were talking, must have been talking for an hour or something, just flew by. And then we said, look, we need to write a book about this. And it just turns out that Wiley was looking for someone to write a book about NFTs. So it was just like, it was a perfect fit.
I love that. Yeah. And it's, you're an entrepreneur, you're so active and content creating. But the act of sitting down and writing the book, I really do think that this has helped position you as, an expert, and it's unlike anything that's out there now. So how did you find the time?
Okay. All right. So pretty much Hugh Harrison and I, we just focused for about 4 weeks. Literally did nothing else other than eat and sleep and write this book pretty much during the month of April. Yeah. April, maybe parts of May as well. But we really cranked it out.
And what I really like about it, clearly you have the legal background. A lot of lawyers are just very technical, and they're afraid to put out content because they're scared it's going to be interpreted as legal advice. I noticed your great disclaimers at the beginning and then in certain chapters throughout. But, I just think you're really an inspiration for anyone who is in the legal industry watching this, of just, understanding that this is a growing, evolving area, which you admit throughout the book that there's probably going to have to be updates, but just actually getting the information out and putting it in a way that is super easy to understand, because it is a handbook, and to be a handbook, people need to actually read it. So you did a really good job.
Oh, thank you.
So I want to quickly touch on copyright ownership without getting into the weeds, of course.
Okay.
So I know that there's a lot of discussion right now where people are starting to analyze, what exactly am I getting? What are the license terms? And as a legal nerd and someone who buys and sells NFTs, I buy NFTs and I'm like, where's the license? I don't see any reference to the license. There's no reference to terms. And then I go to the website or the Discord that links to the website, and then in some obscure spot, there's terms of use or terms of service. And in that terms of service, the license is thrown up. and then they say, but these terms are subject to change.
Right.
So I feel like that's like a law school exam to me, and I know that there's no yes or no, right or wrong answer, but like, what's your thoughts on that? Is there like a best practice that that NFT project and people who are minting NFTs can do? Should they put them in the descriptions? Would be happy to hear anything you have.
Okay, I would recommend putting any license terms in the description, or having a link specifically stating the subject to these terms and conditions at the following website, and have a link to that page with the terms and conditions. So there's one thing I noticed about the Rob Gronkowski NFTs. They had huge terms and conditions, very, very lengthy, on the website, but there was no reference to them whatsoever in the NFTs. And the NFTs were minted and sold on OpenSea. Nothing in the descriptions, nothing in the description of the NFTs, and nothing in the description of the collection. So I'm thinking, well, how can these NFTs be subject to these terms if they were never referenced? And what if someone never went to the website? They wouldn't even be aware of these terms. So, however, if you're minting, say you have a project like, for example, like the Bored Apes, or this new project, In-Betweeners, where you're minting from the website. So if you're minting from the website and if they have terms of service on the website, then I can see, well, okay, I mean, that might be more applicable. But if you're minting on, say, OpenSea or another one of the marketplaces, I highly recommend, I mean, it's not legal advice, but I would recommend that you have the terms spelled out in the description or link to the terms.
Yeah, it's one thing that I'm seeing as I buy and as I research them. Everyone's doing it a little bit differently. Sometimes I see the actual license terms copied and pasted in the OpenSea descriptions. Other times it's in terms of services. Sometimes they email it. It's to people who like sign up for their newsletters. It's weird, because if you buy an NFT, you don't sign up for an email list. I'm seeing everything, and I think like the point is that there are just certain things you can do, like from a legal perspective, there's certain things you can do to minimize your risk. This is all still a very evolving area, but if you are a lawyer, or if you want to protect yourself, get Matt's handbook, because this is the beginning. And so you can start thinking of what's the best way I can structure these to minimize the risk, so that you don't end up with crazy legal issues down the road. At the end of the book, I loved this. You kind of talked about the future of NFTs, and you said that it's not just speculative digital art assets, which is why NFTs are important, but also that NFTs provide a bridge to digital economies that will touch everyone in the future. And then you talked about the NFT, if I have to say this right, the NFTification of things.
Right, that's correct.
So what do you think we're going to see in the future?
Okay, for example, I believe that every event ticket, whether that's a sporting event or a concert or anything that you go to, a Broadway show, will be an NFT. And there's so many advantages to that. I mean, right now, for example, event ticket secondary market scalpers make a lot of money, many X multiple on the tickets. They buy a whole bunch and then they scalp them off. And the sports team or league or the event promoter do not participate in this increase in value. So with an event ticket NFT, so the concert promoter, for example, can participate in the increased value of an NFT on a resale market. A similar way, like any NFT now, you can add an ongoing royalty to it, for example, on OpenSea. So that's going to be a big advantage. Plus, in addition to that, it'll be a collectible, and it'll have the date and the event that you went to. So after the event, you still have this collectible NFT that memorializes that you were at that event. And actually, it could be traded if someone, you could trade that as well. Someone else say, oh, I want to tell people I was at that event. And they'll buy your NFT.
And what about the tokenization of physical items and intellectual property?
Right. So we touched on the fractionalization before. So, for example, I mean, there are some NFTs out there that represent a fractional interest in digital royalty streams for music. So, whenever that music whenever digital royalties are earned for that particular song, that gets distributed among the fractional NFT holders. So this is a way to liquefy certain IP or certain illiquid assets. I mean, this concept was actually done back in the 90s with the Bowie bonds. David Bowie securitized his BMI income stream, so he was able to pull forward a whole bunch of cash, and the bondholders got a nice return. And in the end, after the bonds expired, then David Bowie got his copyrights back. So it's similar. Of course, those were done under the SEC regulations. So I do think that similarly that we will have these offerings of fractionalized NFTs done under the security regulations or some type of exception. Maybe Regulation A or something like that.
And there's so much to think about that your book touches on, things that are beginning to evolve, things that we're going to be seeing, but also I really liked the end on where it's going and how NFTs and this technology really is just at the forefront. So I hope that we hear more from you and get more updates, more editions of this book.
Yes, nothing's official yet, but I do think we will be doing a new version. I can't give a time frame on that though.
Yeah, it's just so quickly evolving. So where can people go to buy the book?
They can go on Amazon. They can also go to their local bookstore and anywhere books are sold.
Amazing. I put the link below for anyone watching. You can buy the book directly using the link on Amazon. Before we leave, where's the best place that people can continue to follow you and connect with you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Matt Fortnow, also Instagram at FortnowMatt, and also you can check me out on LinkedIn as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Matt. I look forward to continuing to watching you and seeing all the new developments for NFTs.
Oh, thanks, Francesca. This has been a lot of fun.